So I came across this psychologist, Sadie, incredible, my goddess. And she was talking about like the psychology around pretty people. And I actually talk about this briefly in my diversity, equity, and inclusion workshops. And like what I say is, target and non-target identity. You have, somebody who's Black versus somebody who's white, as far as Black people are targeted and white people are non-targeted, or women are targeted, men are non-targeted, or people who are queer are targeted and people who are hetero are not targeted. So this is how you identify target and non-target identity in terms of marginalization. And I said, hey, this category goes beyond like the main headers, like pretty, like, and it's nuanced. I use it as a perfect example. I'm like, because I'm pretty, I'm more likely to say get into a club, but at the same time I get overt sexual attention. And so like listening to Sadie was like amazing, because she was talking really in nuance about the context around beautiful women and how and as also my deal as an intelligent and successful woman, on top of being a beautiful woman, I do deal with this level of intimidation from men. Like all my life I've had to deal with, and she was even talking about like statistically men who are with women who make more money have more cortisol. Like both of them have more cortisol, so like you're both actually more stressed because of patriarchy and whatever it gets internalized around masculines and provision of a resource in the form of capitalism. So like it's so interesting, because whereas women don't necessarily care whether or not the men have more money in the situation, like it creates a context, a relational context that just creates stress. So like, and obviously that's my lived experience, having been the main breadwinner or the most financially stable in most of my relationships. I've had to deal with like, whether it was, and most of the time it was very subversive, like this experience of like internal just dysfunction around the dichotomy. So then like she was also talking about how there's this automatic due to insecurity desire to humble women who are beautiful, so these negative associations are attached to them. They must be promiscuous, which is a hilarious how often people like, let me premise by saying that I support sex positive context around how people relate to sharing their body without shame. At the same time, most people understand that I am not promiscuous, but it's funny because 95+% of the time, men make the automatic assumption that I am. So not just promiscuity, but like, obviously nobody could attach idiocy to me. You see how I speak. But that's another thing, like pretty people are assumed to be dumb. They're assumed to be promiscuous. They're assumed to be manipulative. I thought that was very interesting too, according to Sadie. Because again, I am literally trained in pastoral care. That means that I have gone through the religious education to be a priest. So I do actually steward in community care my community, like with a very gentle and kind heart. I have a 100% commitment to authenticity around the kindness and the compassion and care that is associated with this identity. That one's pretty rock solid. And yet, like I can see this being like a concern, like, but obviously I think we're all a little bit concerned about the manipulative quality of human beings. And if we are healthy and maturing human beings, we're constantly looking at our own shadow work and looking at our own automatic tendencies to see the ways that we might not even be consciously manipulative, like people pleasing. People pleasing is in some ways manipulative, because you're trying to manipulate calm at the whole situation, but then you're lacking clarity as far as like what you're providing in terms of authenticity and truth, and the other person is having to deal with the incongruence between how you present yourself and what is really true for you. So like the whole concept of manipulation goes even deeper.